Okay, section 2.2, video, part 4. We had left off in the last video where I gave you some circles that were in center radius form. To be exact, these four. These are the four we just did. Where I gave you the equation of the circle, and we found the H and the K and the R. The H, the K, and the R. Now what I want to do is this. I want to turn the tables around. Suppose I gave you the center of the circle, this, and suppose I gave you the radius of the circle. So suppose instead of asking you to find the center and radius of the circle, suppose I give you the center and radius and ask you to write out the equation of the circle. Could we do that? So let's see. You take the opposite of that, you take the opposite of that, you take the opposite of this, and you take the opposite of this. So if I give you this and put it back up here behind the X and Y, you're just going the other direction with it. So let's see if we can do that. So let's turn the question around. Write these instructions down. Find the equation of a circle by using the given center and radius. So once again, I'm turning the tables on you. I want you to actually write the equation. So our answer will be this thing right here. And I'm going to give you these two things right here. So I'm going to give you the center and radius, and we're going to write out the equation. All right, so let's do that. Let's look at our first example. Number 1, or part A, or whatever you want to call it. Suppose the center is 5, -7, and the radius is 9. Now, what would the equation look like? Well, I know the equation is going to have an x squared term plus, has to have the plus, y squared term equal. Now, what goes right here? The h. This is your h right there. But remember, you swapped the sign when you brought it out. This is a +5. So when you put it back, you have to swap it back. So that's x minus 5, all squared. And then the -7 is what you got after you swap the sign. So when you put it back, it's y plus 7. And now we're going backwards. So you're not taking the square root of that number. You are actually squaring it. So it's not the square root of 9, it's 9 squared, which is 81. Now, let's go backwards and see if this checks and works out. Let's get the center. Take the opposite of this, +5, opposite of that, -7, and then the radius is the square root of that number right there, which would give me 9. All right, let's do 2 or 3 more of these. Center, -1, 1, radius 1. This is going to be x, it's going to be a square term, plus y, it's going to be a square term, equals something. And we'll figure that out in just a second. All right, here's your h. But remember, you swap the sign. That's a -1. So when we put it back in behind that x, that's x plus 1. And then this is 1. You swap the sign, so when you put it back, you swap it back. X minus 1 squared equals, and you're squaring r. So 1 squared is 1. Okay, let's do another one. And that C stands for center right there, by the way. You haven't figured that out. So the center is -1, -3, radius 6. So the equation of the circle Okay, it's going to be x, this is h, but when you put it back, it's x plus 3 squared. Plus y, when you put this back, it becomes y plus 1 squared. Equals, and then when you take and put this back, you're squaring it. 6 squared is 36. Okay, one more like that. Center 0, -4, radius 8. So this would be x, take the opposite, -0 squared, plus y plus 4 squared equals to 8 squared, which is 64. Now this x minus 0 doesn't have to be in there because it's 0. So you could just call it x squared like that. Now double check it. Center, the opposite of what's behind that, the opposite of what's behind that, and then 8 squared, of course, is 64. Or you could leave it 8 squared. Alright, so that's how you get the equation of the circle. So I've shown you how to do two things so far. If I give you the equation of the circle, if it's in center radius form, you should be able to write the center and radius out. And then if that's where you get the h and the k and the r. Then if I turn it around and give you the equation of the circle, if it's in center radius form, you should be able to get the center and radius just from the equation of that circle. So you should be able to get the center and radius. If I give you, I think I said that backwards. Let me say that one more time. If I give you the equation, you should be able to state the center and radius. And then if I give you the center and radius, you should be able to write out the equation. So you need to be able to go both ways. All right. Now, why, I said a while ago, why is this center and radius so important? So what I want you to do is I want you to just watch me for just a minute. I'm about to show you how to graph a circle. And then this time I don't want you to copy it first. I want you to watch me first, then I'll tell you to pause it. So here's what I'm about to do now. I'm about to show you how you graph a circle by knowing where the center and radius is located. All right, so do write these instructions down. Here's the instructions. Graph the following equation. Graph the following equation. All right, now, put this problem up. Okay, write this problem right here down. Okay, I'm assuming that you've copied this problem. Pause the video if you need to. All right, before we talk about the graph of this, first, do I know what the graph of it is? Well, let's see. You've got an x squared term plus a y squared term equals some number. This is the equation of a circle. Now, it has billions of answers. Billions and billions of answers. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to find all of those, but we're still going to graph this problem. Why do we want to graph it? Because when you graph it, you are showing a visual picture of all of the answers to that problem. So, in essence, when you graph, what are you doing? You are solving the problem. All right, how do I graph this? Well, first you have to recognize that it's a circle. I just talked about that. Now let's get the center and radius, the h and the k. All right, so what's behind the x here? X plus 2. So h would be -2. Remember, if there's no number here, h would be 0. So it's -2, comma. Now what's behind the y is your k value. What's behind the y is -3. So take the opposite of that. That would be +3. That's your k value. So the center is -2, comma, +3. The radius is the square root of the number that's on the end, and square root of 16 is 4. Now this is the part, you can go ahead and write that down. Okay, now this next part is the part I told you to don't copy down till I go over it. So I want you to just watch me. Don't copy this till I get completely through with it. All right. How do we draw a circle? How do we graph it? Okay. Again, don't draw this circle. In your mind, for just a second, pretend that this graph right here is blank. So in other words, suppose the circle is not there. All right, here's what you do first. You plot the center. The center is -2, comma, 3. So that would be to the left 2, up 3. 1, 2, 3. So right there is where the center is located. Once you plot the center, you look at what the radius is. The radius in this case is 4. Now, what does radius mean? Radius is how far it is from the center of the circle to the edge of the circle. So, put your pencil on the center, not literally right now, just watch. So you put your pencil on the center and move 4 spaces. Now, when you move 4 spaces in the XY plane, if I say move 4 spaces, there's only 4 ways you can move 4 spaces. You can move left, you can move right, you can move up, and you can move down 4 spaces. So here's what I want to do. I want to come to where my center is, and I'm going to move to the right 4 spaces. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And I put a point. And by the way, that's the point 2, comma, 3. You don't have to label that point, but that's where it's at. Now, go 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now go 4 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's that point. And then go 4 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And plot that point. So here's what you basically do when you graph a circle. First, you have to know the center and you have to know the radius. And the only way you can do that is if you're given the equation in center radius form, which it was. I gave you this, we stated the center and the radius, and then we graphed it. All right, what do you do after you get the center and after you get the radius? What do we do after that? What you do is you plot your center, plot it. So -2, 3, to the left 2, up 3, plot your center. And then from the center, you move to the left, to the right, up, and down, however many spaces your radius is. So in this case, the radius was 4 spaces. So you go 4 to the left, 4 to the right, 4 up, and 4 down, and then draw your circle. Now, let me show you a couple of other things, and then I'll tell you to pause the video and copy this. Notice when I went 4 to the right, I told you, I said, you don't have to do this ordered. You don't have to label that ordered pair. Notice this is 2, comma, 3. Let me show you that this ordered pair is an answer to this problem. Let x be 2. What's 2 plus 2? 4. What's 4 squared? 16. Plus, what is 3 minus 3? 0. What is 0 squared? Still 0. So 16 plus 0 is 16. So now at that point right there, that ordered pair is an answer to that problem. But not only is that point right there an answer to this problem, every point, let me just show you this one right here. Negative 2 comma 7. What's negative 2 plus 2? 0. What is 0 squared? Still 0. Plus, what is 7 minus 3? 4. 4 squared is 16. So that's an answer too. And so is this one, and so is this one. But not only are these 4 answers to that problem, every little dot, every ordered pair, all the billions of ordered pairs, all along this circle is also an answer. So let me say this one more time. So what are we doing when we draw a graph? You are showing a visual picture of all of the answers to that problem. So it's not just these 4. Now, it is true that these 4 are the only whole number ordered pair answers to that. There are no other whole numbers, but there's millions of other fractions and decimals that would work as well. So that's what we're doing there when we draw that circle. Now, let me mention something to you about your homework. In your homework, when you're graphing a circle, what you have to do is you get over you'll see the graphing window over there. Put your cursor over in the graphing window. And the first thing you'll do is you'll click the picture of a circle up under that graph. The reason you have to click on circle is you have to notify the computer, hey, this is what I'm about to graph. So get over in the graphing window, click on the picture of a circle. And here's what you do after that. You've got to do 2 things. And it's easier actually to do on the computer than it is freehand. What you do is you take your mouse and plot the center. So in this problem right here, the center was negative 2, 3. So you'd put your cursor right here, go 2 to the left, 3 up, and click right there. Left click, and it'll put a point there. Now, here's the good thing about the computer. You don't have to go 4 to the right, 4 to the left, 4 up, 4 down. All you've got to do is go 4 to the right and click. When you click, it'll draw the full circle. Now you say, do I have to move 4 to the right? Could I move 4 down? Yes. You move 4 spaces in any direction, but when you click it, you're not going to have to plot the other 3. Now the downside to that is when it comes time for test, I do want you to use all 4 points so that you can get a good picture of the circle. So everything we've been looking at right now has been circles that are in center radius form. Now, to complete this video and bring us into the next section, I want to show you something. You don't have to write this down. This is introduction. Look at this problem right here. Tell me what the H and K are here. It's negative 2, comma, positive 3. And K is the square root of 16, which is 4. So 2, comma, negative 2, sorry. Negative 2, comma, 3. And the radius is 4. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to show this to you. Let's suppose I took this and I took this and multiplied it out. So just watch. And by the way, let me back up here. I need to tell you to pause this video and sketch the graph now. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so let's suppose I took this. Don't write this down. Let's suppose I took x plus 2 squared, which means x plus 2, x plus 2. Let's suppose I took it and I wrote it out twice. And did the y minus 3, wrote it out twice. And I FOILed this. And I FOILed this one to get this. All right, then I add the x's together. I add the y's together. And then let's suppose that I add the 4 plus 9 together, which is 13, and move the 16 back across. And I just rearrange the order. All right, so here's my question. Where did this come from right here? This came from right up here. So is this and this the same stuff? Yes, it is. Does it look different? It absolutely looks different, but it's not. And you say, well, Mr. Randall, why on earth would I want to take that and multiply it out and make it look like this? We wouldn't. Here's why we wouldn't. This is already in center radius form. This, however, is not. Question, what do you see in this equation that you haven't seen in any of the other equations with circles? What you see is this extra x and this extra y. Now, is it still a circle? Yes, because the x is squared, because the y is squared, and their coefficients are the same. So this is still a circle. The problem is because it has this extra x and this extra y, I can't look at this and tell you what the center is. Now, I can look at what's up top and give you the center and radius, but I can't from here. So you say, well, then we can't graph this circle from right here. You're exactly right. Then what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to learn how to take the equation of a circle that is not in center radius form and put it back in center radius form in order to get the center and radius. And so this will conclude this video. We have one more video from this particular section, and this will close out section 2.2.